So people don't think I'm totally hating on the Warriors and Curry. Let me give a shout out to Stephen Curry for his 51-point game against the Washington Wizards in a 144-122 victory. I think he shot 15 of 24 from the field, 11 of 16 from downtown. Awesome shooting performance. But, you know, the NBA now has made a complete transformation into something that is an abomination to me, man. It's a total abomination, and it's a watered down product, and it sucks. And every offensive milestone or performance that from here on out is accomplished, I will always put an asterisk by it, and I will always, keep things into perspective when comparing this era to the era that I grew up, especially in the mid to late 90s going into the early 2000s, when I think basketball was a better product. I don't give a fuck what Paul Pierce or some of these other guys are saying to promote this trash. All right? We already had all of these rules set in place to help the offensive player. All right? We've had all of these damn things happen over the years. In the mid-1990s, the NBA really started cracking down on hand checking in the backcourt. All right? 10 years later, they completely eliminated hand checking. And over the years, they've made it harder and harder for defensive players to do their fucking job, to the point where defense is pretty much phased out in the NBA. You even had that idiot that plays for our team, Jabari Parker, say players don't even get paid to play defense. We don't get paid to play defense. That's what this fucking idiot, this injury-plagued piece of shit, said for who plays for the Bulls, a team that was once noted for fucking defense, said. And now the NBA implemented the Freedom of Movement Act, where as a defensive player, you can't impede the progress of the opposing player when it's going through screens or basically trying to get open to get a shot. So now you can't do anything. You're really just fucking... you can't do anything. And this has led to ridiculous scoring games now. Like, they're outpacing the 60s now, the 1960s, when Wilt and Russell played. So I don't want to hear any of these motherfuckers now, these young cats talk about, oh, well, that league or that era was weak. What the fuck is this shit? Every fucking game I look at is 145, 135. And don't give me that bullshit about it's better scores now. No, it's not. Scoring 50 points now is like scoring 40 points back 20 years ago now. It's not even impressive. I remember, let me think. I'm going off memory now, so I might be wrong. But from 1994, 95, from that season until the abbreviated 98-99 season, right? I can only think of a handful of players who scored 50 points in the actual NBA game. Michael Jordan, he did it in 95, 55 points. In 96 season, he scored 53 points. 97, I think he had a 51-point game and a 50-point game. He didn't do it in 97, 98. And he didn't play 98, 99. He retired. Glenn Rice scored 56 points in the game. That was in 94, 95. Shaq scored 50 a couple times. Elijah Wan, Karl Malone. I'm just going through my mind, people who scored 50. Abdul Rauf, morning, and I think Tracy Murray did it in 97, 98. That's about it. That's about it. And we're going through a span of, what is that, four or 5 seasons? 4 seasons. 5 seasons. 5 seasons. 5 seasons. And I think in that abbreviated 98, 99 season, the high was like 46 from Grant Hill. Like you didn't have all of these guys scoring 50 points every week. It was something that was rare. It was something that happened maybe 2 or 3 times a season, maybe. Now you have people scoring 50 points every 5, 6 days. And they're trying to make every team, they're trying to make every game as entertaining as the Warriors. All right? I mean, it's a joke now, man. Like, why even have a Defensive Player of the Year award? Why? Why even have that award anymore? Because the NBA doesn't value defense anymore. Why even be, if you're a defensive specialist now, you can't even play in the NBA because you're not valued. Dennis Rodman would have absolutely no value in the NBA now. Maybe he would still be a good rebounder, but he couldn't do all the other things he used to be able to do defensively. People like Darrell Walker couldn't play in the NBA today. People that were defensive specialists, noted for defensive abilities, they couldn't play in the NBA today because they're not valued. If you are a defensive player, you have to at least score 12, 13, 14 points a game, or no team going to want you. The league values scoring too much, man. And like I said earlier, I don't want to hear any of this shit anymore about this league is better than this league. That era is that. The 60s was weak. No. The 60s wasn't weak, man, because you could have players literally maul another guy. There was still defense in the NBA. It's just that the way that the game was played at this frenetic pace, you had those high-scoring games. When you had 120 possessions a game for each team. So that's why you had games that were 145, 125 and shit like today's NBA. But the difference is players still were put on their ass. Players still had their fucking teeth knocked out like Wilt Chamberlain did. Players still were triple teamed at times. And it was still more of a center and forward league as far as who was doing the majority of the scoring. You didn't really have point guards, with the exception of maybe Oscar Robertson, if you would consider Jerry West a point guard. Aside for those guys, point guards really didn't have, the offensive duties or nor freedoms that they have now. But the NBA is just a joke now, man. The pace. I don't know, man. I grew up in an era where every basket meant something. I loved those games that came down to 73, 69. Okay, yeah, maybe the shooting percentages were down. Maybe, if you're not a basketball fan, you didn't find it entertaining because everybody wasn't just hoisting up threes. Every basket that was made was earned. That's when in that era you saw who the actual real scorers were, and not just guys who inflated their numbers in garbage time or shooting a bunch of threes. Like that's why in that era, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, Allen Iverson was respected so much. If you put Allen Iverson in today's NBA, he would be maybe not the shooter that Stephen Curry is, but he would probably be leading the NBA in scoring again. He probably would be averaging 35, 36, 37 points a game. People will be comparing him to Michael Jordan. You know, the league today is inflating the numbers of so many different players now. It's That's why Tracy McGrady said what he said the other day. That's why a lot of these guys say what they're saying, because if you even just look at the league now and you look at the paint, it's usually perpetually wide open. If you look at the paint back in the 90s, it was totally clogged up. And that's what made players like McGrady and Carter earlier on in their careers, Wilkins and Jordan, it made what they did so spectacular and impressive, because these guys were, not going through lanes, but these guys were actually going over and around and jumping over defensive players and bigs to get to the bucket. That's what made Michael Jordan, and Dominique Wilkins so special to watch. And you put these guys in today's NBA, and then you couple the fact with when these guys were growing up, Wilkins was born in 1960, Jordan 1963. These guys didn't see a three-point line until they got into the NBA. There was no three-point line in college when these guys were playing in the late 70s and early 80s in college. So they had to slowly implement that into the offensive arsenal. Put these guys in today's NBA game with all the talent that they have, all right, plus the three-point shot. Yeah, I could see Michael Jordan in the right situation on a pretty bad team. If Kobe could average 35.6 per game back in 2005, 2006, I could see Michael Jordan in today's NBA. I could see him averaging 45 points a game. Easy. Easy. I could see Dominique averaging 40 points a game. Easy. I could see McGrady averaging 37 points a game. Iverson averaging 37 points a game, because everything is so skewed to the offense. I could see Iverson now, instead of shooting 42.5% for his career, I can see him shooting 45%. Doesn't sound like a much of a difference, but it is. Because the biggest problem that Allen Iverson always had was his size and his height. And this is a guy who was listed as 6 feet, probably more like 5'11", trying to shoot over defenders who were probably 6'3", 6'4", and up. So, yeah, there's always that problem. But now you can't do anything to Allen now. And he already had the advantage of quickness. So, yeah, I could see Allen Iverson in today's NBA probably getting to the foul line 13, 14 times a night. He was an 80% foul shooter, so you're going to give him 11 free throws made a night. If he's on the right team, he's taking 27, 28, 29 shots a game. He's probably going to make at least 12 field goals a night. He's probably going to be a better three-point shooter. He's going to shoot more threes. Yeah, take that 12. times 2 is 24. 11 free throws is 35. You're going to make a couple threes. There you go. 37, 38 points a game. It's not hard to figure these things out. So, yeah, the league is what it is right now. But I'm always going to take everything that happens